Hello everyone, Flick here and welcome to another contrast paint video, and today we are tackling what you see before you based in grey here as always. This is a Primaris Lieutenant in Phobos Armour from the Shadowspear box set. He especially likes knives, he has some special rules regarding his knives. Nice model, very detailed, and we're mostly going to be using the contrast paint Ultramarines Blue, which was the very first contrast paint I tested because when I picked up my first order of contrast paints I got the box set of Snap Fit intercessors. I'm not totally convinced about this contrast paint, and I do have a couple of examples. I don't have the very first intercessor I tried painting because I applied the contrast way too thinly, ended up doing 2 layers and it just didn't look nice afterwards. I think it met a mysterious crushing accident. This was the second intercessor I tried in contrast paint. I still don't think I applied the Ultramarines Blue thick enough, and I think it led to a very inconsistent finish that doesn't look particularly good. But that's on me more so than the paint in that case, I think, and it was Gilliman flesh on the face, and I don't think it applied as well as it could have. But this is the third of that box set of 3 intercessors I tried in contrast paint, and I feel like it still looks a little blotchy, the blue, but I feel like the overall finish is a little bit better. There's highlights where there should be highlights and darks where there should be darks, but yeah, you can still kind of see that the application of it is not great, and I don't think it's necessarily just because Space Marines have like round pauldrons and whatnot on their backpacks. I think it's the paint, because I've tested other contrast paints like the broadside we did that's got plenty of like large flat edges, and it still didn't look quite as blotchy as, for instance, the shoulder pauldron there, or like just above the knee, or sorry, just below the knee, I mean, that kind of bit there. So I'm not sure. We're going to try it though, again, live as it were, albeit sped up, on this Primaris Lieutenant in Phobos Armour. Most of it's going to be blue. Don't mind my PC making noises in the background. We're going to have a little bit of Black Templar black on the gun and some miscellaneous straps and such. And I think that is about it in terms of contrast paint. Other than that, we'll just be using normal paints that we can talk about later. Let's get started. So a little bit later, here's the Ultramarine Blue contrast, more or less dry. It probably needs a little bit longer. Sorry about the lighting, we've got some bad weather, not very summer-like in Scotland at the moment. Anyway, you might have noticed during the time-lapse I was using my thicker brush to apply it. Normally for a model this small I'd be using something smaller, but I was trying to get a more consistent coating in the one layer, so I thought lap it on with a thick brush, see if that makes a difference. It might have, I feel, although you can still kind of see blotchiness on the back of the shoulder pad there, the backpack there, a little bit on the shoulder pad there. I don't know if it's just maybe Ultramarines Blue just doesn't work as well with the grey sear base, but it doesn't seem to apply as well as every other contrast paint I've tried so far. I don't know what's up with it compared to the others. It's just I don't feel the layering is as consistent. That said though, we are going to move on, so our next goal is to use some Black Templar contrast paint on the guns. And because these are like stealth based Primaris, all their kind of like stomach compartments and this little computer thing here and the straps on the knives, they're all done in black rather than brown. So I'm going to do those and a little bit of Gilliman flesh on the face, and then I think that'll be it. Oh, and some Basilicum Grey on the stone on the base there. Oh, in between cuts I also just tidied up some of the bits on the straps and such like just by applying some of the grey sear base just to tidy it up, because we're applying a different contrast onto them and I don't want to mix the colours like what happened last time. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time to dry and then start applying those colours. So here we are with most of the contrast paint finished applying. I didn't do it on camera because I forgot, but quick bit of Skeletal Horde and Blood Angels Red on the Purity Seal there, and then there's another Purity Seal at the gun there. You might have noticed in the time lapse I went over the gun twice. That's because I forgot I had the grey open, and it applies very similarly to Black Templar. So I had to go over it because it was great first. I had the grey open to do the stone down at the base here, and just the bits at the back here as well. So that's all for contrast on this model, but we're going to finish it. So what's going to happen next is lead belcher for like the silver blade, the silver bits of the armour, you know, and the backpack sections as well. Some bits of the gun once it's dried. Some Balthazar gold, Gehenna gold, and Agrax Earthshade for the gold trim on the pauldron there, and the accents on the scabbards here as well, and then some just a brown for the base, and the rest of the scabbard is brown. Oh, and gold for the central skull insignia as well, just copying the way it's supposed to officially look, and probably a little bit of red in there as well for the whatever that is on the side of his head. So we'll be back with hopefully a finished model in a second. And sometime later, here we have the Primaris Lieutenant in Phobos Armour more or less done. A little bit of bad light, the sun is now sort of shining by Scottish standards. Hello, sorry, yes I hear you. And it's really honestly showing up the blotchiness of the blue, which is a little disappointing. I'm not sure if it's something I'm doing, but I haven't really seen this happen with any of the other contrast paints. Not to the degree that it happens with the Ultramarines blue on top of grey sear. It's about the same finish as what I would call the better intercessor that I did before. Try and compare the two backpacks there, for instance. They're more or less, trying to get them in the same light, but more or less the same, I would say. And from a tabletop standard, if you were looking at them from across the table, far enough away, not zoomed in like this, I think it looks fine. They both look fine, but I'm not as happy with the finish as I have been with other things I've tried with contrast paint, which is a shame because I really wanted the blue to be good. If you've tried it on the other contrast base paint, not grey sear, I'm blanking on what it's called right now, Wraithbone, I think. Let me know if you get a nicer looking, less blotchy finish with Ultramarine blue on it, because I'm genuinely curious if that would work out better than this. But it looks fine. I'm being a little bit down on it because I wished that it was a little bit better and to the standard that the other things we've done so far are. It doesn't really come out like the first preview images Games Workshop did of contrast, where just an Ultramarine being painted with Ultramarines blue, and it doesn't look the same. I'm not sure if that's because they did thicker coats, or they touched it up between cuts, or what, but it doesn't look quite the same. I'm not sure why. But anyway, that is going to finish off this video. We have ourselves one of the Shadowspear Phobos Primaris Marines done. We've got a whole bunch of them to do. I'm kind of glad I did the Lieutenant first, because I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with contrast for the rest of them. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if you've had some experience with using Ultramarines blue on the other base type, what you think of the finish here compared to, here we are, this is also done in contrast. Actually, I can quickly grab one that's not done in contrast. Yeah, so here is just a normal Intercessor Primaris Marine done in Macragge Blue on a Baden Black with a dry brushing of Ethereal Blue on top. Again, I think the lighting is making it look a bit worse than it is. It's just the lighting that I'm working with today. But it's still, this looks cleaner and less, well, less like blotchy, watery paint applied, honestly. Which is kind of like the main thing I'm getting from Ultramarines Blue on the contrast model, which is a shame. Maybe I'm just being overcritical, I'm not sure. It's just that it doesn't look how the Games Workshop preview of this paint specifically looked, whereas I didn't have examples for the other paints I've been using to work off of, so this is the one which I can make a direct comparison, and I don't think it looks the same. But maybe it's something I'm doing, maybe it's because they used the other base type, I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling, that was just a little comparison. We'll be back with more contrast videos, though. I'm not sure what I'll be painting next. I'm waiting on a different shade arriving that I'm wanting to play with to paint another Batman miniature, so it might be that, if my order arrives in time, because contrast paint is hard to get at the moment. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Check out the other contrast paint videos if you want to see town models, Death Guard, etc. being painted in them as well. And I will see you next time. Ta-ta for now.